Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar. Then we'll run through the UKMO Office Run, have a look at the precipitation and temperature over the next 5 days, as we have had a bit of a cool down from Friday, where we saw low to mid 30s. It's been much cooler this weekend. We could see those temperatures ramp up once again this coming week. Over the last few days, those temperatures have slowly crept up from sort of the low to mid 20s to now potentially by Wednesday to Friday time we could be seeing 30 degrees once again. Doesn't look like it'll be anywhere near as hot as Friday, but we could see widespread 25 to 30 degrees come the end of this week. So we see a real quite warm but sustained air mass. Not really a push of hot air from the south, from Spain or North Africa, but more sort of homegrown generated heat with warm upper air temperatures under higher pressure. We will then have a look at the GFS, ECMWF and the Ensembles, have a look at the mid to longer range, as yes, it is turning warm once again over the next 5 to 7 days, but it does look like towards the last couple days of June and start of July, we will have below average temperatures, at least upper air conditions. Most likely that will equate down to surface level as well, but we can't say with too much certainty with that until we saw precipitation. But the precipitation does look like it will increase. We can't say exactly in what form, whether it be weather fronts or shower activity, but all of the ensemble members and models have lower pressure with more unsettled conditions coming in for the end of the month and start of July. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So if we do start on the live radar, you can see most areas are dry today. We do have dry weather across Scotland, dry weather across Ireland, Northern Ireland and most of England and Wales. The south and the east are bearing the brunt of the precipitation at the moment. We saw some intense thunderstorms last night. I was talking about that in yesterday's video, and they really did pop out of nowhere. Now, I'm in London and I saw these thunderstorms firsthand. I was keeping an eye on the radar throughout the afternoon into the evening, seeing whether thunderstorms would develop or not. Around 8-9 p.m. we generally had that big band of heavy precipitation with a few odd lightning strikes through the Midlands, through sort of central, southern into southwest England. But then suddenly I looked out my window, saw flashes of lightning, and didn't see anything on the radar, which was very interesting because literally these storms popped out of nowhere. I'm also getting hail, torrential rain, and frequent lightning before anything had even loaded onto radar, because remember, radar has a lag of about 15 to 20 minutes normally. But then about half an hour later, once you load up the radar, there were massive reds showing up all the way down the eastern side through the London area. Biggest storms really would be in Kent, into East Anglia and Essex area. Those saw the biggest storms with the most frequent lightning. Some areas historical sort of storms with in terms of frequency of lightning. And when I mean historic, I mean it's sort of a memorable storm where you remember how intense that was. So we did see a big band of thunderstorms through the east. They did move away quite quickly, only really lasting from around 8-9 p.m. to around 11-12. So it wasn't a particularly sustained period of thundery activity, but it was very intense while it lasted, and quite a few areas in central England into southern, southwestern and eastern England saw quite a soaking after the real baking temperatures on Friday. But at the moment we do have precipitation here, just a lingering weather front, nothing too heavy really, a few heavier showers there, maybe a few rumbles of thunder in the channel, but across land, mostly moderate to light rain, far southwest, a bit more persistent there. And again, this is sweeping northwards, sort of decaying, fragmenting as it does, but most areas are pretty dry today, and those temperatures are not too bad. They're really around average, sort of mid to high teens. You can see these yellows and oranges equating to around 16 to 20 degrees. So average to maybe slightly below average conditions today. Well, you see sunshine, of course, it's going to feel warm this time of year, no matter really what those upper air temperatures and surface conditions are. When you got that sunshine out, it's going to feel warm. When it's cloudy, those temperatures are going to be held back. Now, you can see the incredibly hot air mass that was over the UK on Friday is still lingering in parts of Europe, from Germany, Poland, into France, just north of the Alps, really. Still a pocket of this incredibly hot air, but it is being swept away and being moderated as it does. Because remember, Northern Europe is an actually incredibly hot area in terms of forming these upper air masses. It all originates in North Africa, pushed up and slowly gets moderated towards the average temperature across Europe around sort of 25 degrees at surface, or 20 to 25 degrees at surface level. So if we do now have a look at the UKMO Office Run, see what that is showing over the next 5 days in terms of precipitation and temperature. Now, precipitation it doesn't look too high over the next 5 days, which is good for many who have got plans this week. It's looking very dry, and as I said, turning much warmer, if not hotter, towards the end of the week. So you can see today there were a few showers further northwards, but they've decayed, and over the course of this afternoon, those showers pushing into the far south, but sort of decaying away overnight tonight. We could see a few little showers in the channel, maybe a few thundery showers, but they are going to stay offshore, so it could be, if you're on the south coast, you could see a few flashes of lightning if you're looking out across the channel, but nothing coming on shore. Beyond that, into Monday afternoon, see a bit of a weather front across the far north and west, but not really making too much inroads. Bit of precipitation and thicker cloud in most areas, quite a lot of sunshine, and those temperatures will slowly start to decline. They're going to decline by 2 or 3 degrees every day. So tomorrow, 21, 22. 24 maybe on Tuesday, 25, 26 on Wednesday, maybe 28, 29 or 30 degrees on Thursday. See, that precipitation does eventually move in, but it does fragment as it does and just brings clouds to most. Tuesday, cloudy in the north and west, sunnier in the south and east. And by Wednesday, another very dry day. Some cloud, yes, again, quite widespread sort of popping up clouds, but nothing too crazy. And as we head towards Thursday, you can see it is again really dry for most. Weather front approaching from the northwest, but not making inroads at all, really, until sort of early hours of Friday, where it does move in, but it does fragment. If you do look at the upper air temperatures, you can see we've got much cooler upper air temperatures at the moment across most of the United Kingdom. Still very hot just to our southeast. That's why we're still seeing sort of high 30s, 40 degrees across parts of Europe. Now, we're going to see this air mass just slowly warm up, and this is why I say it's homegrown sort of warmth, because you see by this afternoon, 5 degrees at 850 HPA. And yes, this air mass is getting sandwiched between a milder air mass in from the west and a milder air mass from the south. So by Monday afternoon, around 7 to 10 degrees at 850 HPA. Heading towards Tuesday afternoon, again, 8, 9, 10 degrees at 850 HPA, nothing too crazy. And you can see a little bit of a diurnal range with this, especially through Monday, Tuesday, where it cools down a little bit overnight and warms up a little bit in the day. Generally, we don't see a diurnal range with the 850 HPA temperatures in the UK, but we can see a small one in the summer, and we'll see that with the ensembles sort of oscillating by a degree or two. Some areas, especially with elevation, can deviate by 10 to 20 degrees. So nothing like that, but you can see by Tuesday, 9, 10 degrees. By Wednesday, 11, 12, 13 degrees. See these temperatures starting to ramp up, and by Thursday afternoon, widespread 10 to 13, and that's why those temperatures will be rocketing up. Again, it's not a crazy hot air mass. It's above average, yes, but it's because we've got this warm air lingering for 3 or 4 days, building warmth at the surface and throughout the atmosphere, allowing these temperatures to rise throughout the day, much easier than if this was just a transitional air mass. So if we do actually have a look at those 2-meter temperatures, you can see this afternoon it was 17 to 20 degrees quite widely, nothing too bad, around or slightly below average. For Monday afternoon, we start to see those temperatures once again rise back towards maybe 19, 20 degrees, maybe slightly warmer than today, maybe 21 in a few spots, maybe 22 degrees, best conditions in parts of Scotland, eastern Scotland, with a bit of a Fern effect there perhaps, into the Monday afternoon again. 22 degrees could be seen in a few areas in the far southeast as well. As we head towards Tuesday, again, as I said, increasing by a couple of degrees, 23, 24 degrees quite widely, further north and westward, slightly cooler with those weather fronts coming in and thicker cloud, but we still should see warmer conditions there at times. By Wednesday afternoon, a couple of degrees warmer, 26, 27 degrees and widely, 20 to 25, 26 degrees sort of conditions. So very, very warm. And by Thursday, those temperatures were really jumping up. 29, maybe 30 degrees through central and eastern England, and widely 25 degrees plus. Really, really warm. Hot potentially there through central areas. Incredibly hot for some. Again, this will be one run. It can change, but considering the sort of the 4 or 5 day time frame now, I wouldn't see this deviating more than maybe a degree or two. So we could be seeing low 30s returning, maybe 31, 32. Now, as I said, it's not nowhere near as hot an air mass, but because it lingers for longer, 12, 13 degrees at 850 HPA can give the same surface conditions as 5 degrees hotter at that air mass if it's transitional. So That's why we're still seeing 28 to 30 degrees here, even though that upper air mass is not incredibly hot. It is warm, but not incredibly hot. So we could be seeing a return to much warmer conditions towards the end of the week. This week, I think a lot of people like the sort of 25-degree weather where it's warm enough to be out in a t-shirt and shorts, but it's not really too oppressive. Once it gets towards high 20s, low 30s, that's where it starts to get really warm. So we'll have to see exactly how this does play out. But it is turning warmer this week, and it has ramped up over the last few days. So if we do now have a look at the mid to longer range, have a look at what the GFS is showing. You can see northerly wind at the moment. That's why it's slightly chillier with those winds coming in from the North Sea and from the North Atlantic. So chillier direction. But that gets pushed away and high pressure does topple over. And you can see slack winds. Now, we're not under the centre of the high, but we're still under high pressure. Isobars are pretty slack, and a warm air mass is able just to generate. And as we head towards Friday, we eventually get it swept away by lower pressure, more unsettled conditions. And this GFS is showing something a little bit more miserable for sort of Sunday, Monday time with low pressure running in, especially in the north and the west. Under those greens, it would be quite chilly and pretty unsettled as well. Beyond that, though, high pressure tries to build in the far south and southeast, could bring up a southerly wind, so a warmer air mass, but still low pressure to our north and our west. But we are getting into the uncertain time frame here, and you can see it does look like low pressure will never be too far away in that sort of 7 to 14 day time frame. Now, it is, of course, one run, but that is what we're seeing from the ensembles as well. Now, if we have a look at those upper air conditions, see what they're showing, you can see cooler conditions at the moment. You can see that stretch of incredibly hot air across Europe still. That's why we're still seeing high 30s, 40 degrees there, but it does degrade away, as I said. You can see it sort of drops away, and that hot air migrates back further southwards. And you can see it's still building that hot air across parts of southern Europe into the Mediterranean, but for most of northern Europe, we're back towards sort of normal conditions or slightly above average. And you can see towards sort of Wednesday, Thursday time, you can see why we're warm. 10 to 15 degrees at 850 HPA. Nothing incredibly hot. And look at the temperature deviation. It is 2 to 4 degrees above average, maybe 6 degrees above average. Nothing like what we have at the moment in terms of being 10 to 12 degrees above average, or at least what we had on Friday. And if we do run beyond that, we stay in this warmer air mass before it eventually does get swept away by slightly cooler air in from the west. But nothing anything crazy cold, nothing really chilly, just cooler than average with more precipitation around. So if we do now have a look at the GM run, see how that does compare. Again, high pressure toppling in, warmer conditions towards the end of this week. As we head towards Friday, Saturday, Sunday time, we see low pressure sweep in with a westerly flow, much more unsettled. And it does look like that low pressure is always lingering there with a lot of showers, before it eventually does move away. And perhaps by Wednesday, Thursday time, we could see a bit of a respite with that low pressure filling in. But that's showing quite a showery regime next weekend into the start of the following week. So if you have got any plans, then do keep an eye on this forecast, because it does look like it could be going more unsettled. Again, we can't pinpoint details until it really comes into the 5-day time frame in terms of temperatures and precipitation, but undoubtedly it will be cooler, and undoubtedly the shower risk will increase, and most likely there will be some persistent rain for it as well, especially across northern England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. But we can't rule it out. Again, the positioning of this low can slightly alter, can move slightly northwards, slightly further southwards, and that would change the areas with the highest risk. So if we do have a look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare. Again, high pressure toppling in at the moment, turning much drier towards the middle of this week, and then low pressure trying to run in for Saturday, Sunday. And you can see here, the low pressure is much further southwards, so most of the precipitation will be through Republic of Ireland, Wales and western parts of England, southwest England as well, before it eventually does fill in the day 10 time frame, and it turns a bit warmer. You look at those upper air temperatures, not too bad, but much cooler in the north and west, where we're closer to that colder air masses. So if we do finish the video by just having a look at the ensembles, you can see, as I said earlier, a bit of a diurnal range with a little bit of an up and down with the 850 HPA temperatures, only by a degree or two, so nothing crazy, but that's sort of, you can see the homegrown heat building over the next sort of 5 days, from around 4 or 5 degrees at 850 HPA towards 10, 11, 12 degrees at 850 HPA, equating to mid to high 20s. We then see that drop off towards next weekend in around 7 to 8, 9 days time. So next weekend to the start of next week, cooler conditions and more unsettled. Again, no crazy high precipitation spikes at the moment, but still more than we have at the moment. We're seeing for the next sort of 5 days, so definitely an increased chance of precipitation. We're seeing that continue in the longer term as well, with the temperatures returning to around maybe slightly below average. Again, this is day 7 ranging on, so we have seen things change drastically in that time frame. So it's not guaranteed to turn more unsettled and cooler in 7-8 days time, but that is the most likely scenario at this stage. Again, it just sort of correlates with the sea level pressure. You can see higher pressure at the moment and then returning lower pressure towards next weekend. Yes, actually towards the end of this week it's turning slightly lower pressure, but we're not seeing anything too crazy in terms of air masses. Not in terms of air masses, in terms of precipitation, no, luckily. And again, if we have a look at those 2-meter temperatures, you can see the ramping up towards this week from 20, 21, 22 degrees up to 25, and then slowly towards that high 20s range. And then we see that drop off towards the start, the weekend and start of next week, where it's back to all sort of conditions we have now, sort of mid to high teens, widely maybe topping 20 degrees. And again, with higher precipitation. Now, if you finish by having a look at the ECMWF Ensembles, look at the midnight run again, you can see the ramping up of temperatures at the moment towards 10, 12 degrees at 850 HPA, and then a reduction in around 7-8 days' time to a few degrees below average for a day or two, with high precipitation towards next weekend and the start of next week, and then returning more towards average. But a lot of uncertainty there. You can see a lot of spread. But yeah, majority of ensemble members are around or below average come next weekend into the start of next week. Now, as I said at the start of the video, we don't always need very warm upper air temperatures to get decent conditions at the surface. We can have below average upper air temperatures and still have nice, sunny, beautiful days. So there's not guaranteed for anything to be miserable, but it will just mean getting warmer conditions will be a little bit harder. We'll need the sunshine, definitely. Any cloud with that, and it will feel a little bit chilly. If we do have a look at the 2-meter temperatures over the next couple of weeks, you can see ramping up in the next few days, getting towards the mid to high 20s there. Again, the ensembles will undo those temperatures a little bit. So 25, 26, 27 degrees, very likely this week. Maybe 28, 29 or 30 degrees is possible towards Wednesday, Thursday, Friday time. And then dropping down back towards sort of mid to high teens, maybe 20 degrees, before in the longer term, a lot of spread around there. So you can see it is turning much warmer this week, warm and dry, but pleasant warm and dry, not oppressively hot, maybe getting quite hot towards the end of the week, but most of this week is just going to generally be very warm. It's going to be very dry as well for the majority. Weather fronts trying to push in the north and west, so some rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland, but most areas it's pretty dry. There'll be some cloud around, and we'll see temperatures widely in the mid-20s come the middle of this week. Beyond that, though, as I said, into the weekend, it does look like temperatures will drop a little bit, and we will see an increased chance of precipitation as well. But so far, we've had a pretty decent month. A lot of dry, warmer weather, some thunderstorms around, still decent amount of rain, so we're not having any sort of drought conditions, luckily. So it's been a pretty decent month overall so far, and there's like that's going to continue with some more warmer conditions this week. Quite a lot of quite good weather for most people. I think most people agree. So 25 degrees, dry conditions, some cloud around. It's very, very pleasant. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.